Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas Simone, and this is my brief presentation for our final paper. The topic of my paper was the benefits of project-based learning in urban settings. This was one of our topics for the course, and to begin, I'll start with a brief definition of what project-based learning is, both from Krychek and Shin, as well as Greeno and Engstrom. Krychek and Shin define project-based learning as an approach that allows students to learn by doing, to apply ideas, and to solve problems. In so doing, students engage in real-world activities similar to those of professional scientists. And then Greeno and Engstrom elaborated on this by claiming that project-based learning is a form of situated learning based on the constructivist finding that students gain a deeper understanding of material when they actively construct their understandings by working and using ideas in real-world contexts. Basically, to summarize, project-based learning, first of all, is a student-centered approach to the classroom, one that I think is very important for the 21st century, for students to develop the skills that they need to be successful. And project-based learning is really, it tries to move away from the standardized testing model that too many of us have dealt with in the last several years. Now, I added the urban setting primarily because of a book I read about a year ago called The Battle for Room 314. And this book is about a man who worked in the private sector, and he worked in recruiting underprivileged students to try to match them up with some of the most prestigious colleges, Ivy League schools, the top schools in the country. He got paid a very nice salary for this. He reached out to help several young people to change the course of their lives, and then decided that instead of just having such a small number of students benefit from his work, that he would try to go back and become a public school teacher. And his 1 year in the school, the book is very depressing and demoralizing, and it's a very sad commentary on what is going on in our urban schools. And then if you look on the left side there are your statistics on just graduation rates alone. So between urban and suburban districts in a few cities. So I think that I wanted to try to make a connection that maybe if we change the way we approach instruction in the classroom and utilize something like project-based learning, it allows us to take the research that's being done all across colleges and try to show some tangible benefit for young people in schools that are struggling tremendously. So in the studies, I did a couple of these just for the presentation. This study was on underachieving urban middle school students. And it's a very narrow study. They only studied 8 kids. But what they found is that students who were involved in project-based learning just had a far more positive experience with their schooling. They were much more optimistic about what was happening in school. They really benefited from the interdisciplinary methods that were used by the teachers. And all of the data that was compiled showed that there was a major change in their academic success as a result of the project-based learning. So that was one example. The second one, by Schultz and Coleman-King, focused on new immigrant students. And I think for so many teachers who are working in urban areas, one of the struggles is you have many students who do not even speak the language, and yet they're being held to the same academic standards as everyone else. So this was a 5th grade classroom, and they were incorporating project-based learning into the curriculum, but it's a much more detailed study. It was done over 4 years. There were about 120 students in the program, and they used multimodal storytelling as an opportunity for the students to use technology and share their projects that were based a lot on their own personal experiences. I know that I believe Mark Isaacs is doing his paper on storytelling as well. So the study sought to see how this approach could impact student engagement, because so often the new immigrant students are going to be much less likely to participate in class. And what they found is that through the project-based curriculum, students were far more engaged and far more, willing to participate in class, something we certainly would like to see in all of our classes. And I think that the project-based learning allows that to happen more readily. And then the last one I chose for this presentation, I wanted to connect something else that we learned in this class, and it was the topic of scaffolding. So Wood, Bruner, and Ross, if you're going to use a project-based learning environment, students are going to be working often independently. It can be done within small groups as well, and they're all going to be at different stages of their learning. So this is where the teacher has to be equipped to handle his or her role as a scaffolder and be able to guide the project-based learning. And Wood, Bruner, and Ross noted, that scaffolding will enable the learner to extend beyond his or her innate abilities in order to complete the tasks. It reminds me of the theories of Vygotsky, where he comments on how there's a certain level of achievement that students can make without the help of a teacher. I believe that's the zone of proximal development. So these are just some of the ones that I used for the brief presentation, and then I just concluded with a political cartoon. So much of what we read throughout this whole course, so many of the researchers and the authors were lamenting how standardized testing can negatively impact the work we're trying to do in the classroom. And with all this wealth of research, I hope that one day soon we're going to move away from this. But this cartoon just says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. And I believe both for project-based learning and for urban school settings, this really creates, a challenge. We want kids to be able to create work that is that's innovative and that has real-world application. That's what project-based learning can do. And I think we have to also recognize that what we've done in the past in urban settings is just not working. We probably need to have a major shift in the approach. So thank you very much, and thanks to everyone for posting on the platform all semester. There was a lot of great comments, and it was a very engaging course for all of us because of the work of everybody. And